Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Milwee, Trinity, Alabama, Mountain View Baptist Church. We want to continue our journey through the Bible today with a lesson that I've entitled, Are You Listening to Jesus? Are you listening to Jesus? It's based upon the conversation that Jesus had with Pilate on the night before, or in actually the morning before he was crucified. And so we'll be in John chapter 18, chapter 18, beginning with verse 33 today. If you were with us last time, you might recall that the earlier part of this chapter was all about the arrest and the trials of Jesus. And what we discovered last time was that all the soldiers, all the ropes, all the extra things that they did were not necessary because it was love that bound Jesus to the cross. He loved us so much that he willingly laid down his life to us. So as we come to this conversation today in the latter half of the chapter, I want to draw your attention to this conversation between Pilate and Jesus. And in so doing, I want to answer the question, how can we be sure that our view of God and our truth claims are correct? Obviously, people can have deeply held convictions and still be tragically wrong if the things they believe are wrong. We certainly think that was the case with the terrorists that flew those planes into the buildings at 9/11. And so, they had deep conviction, but we believe they were deeply wrong. For instance, to illustrate this, we hear a lot in our world today about what's called moral relativism. Moral relativism teaches that there's no godly source of moral truth, and therefore we're left to construct our morality on our own. And as a result, every principle is then reduced down to what we would call personal preference. You hear it when people say things like, well, you have your truth and I have my truth. In other words, I get to pick what I want to believe is true, and you get to pick what you want to believe is true, and then everybody can be happy. It's this idea that all beliefs are equal in value. And of course, this appeals to many people because on the surface, it sounds good, it sounds fair, it sounds logical, but it can also have tragic consequences if taken to the extreme. So how can we determine what is really true? How can we be so sure that our truth is God's truth? Where do we turn to find answers to these questions? Well, I think this conversation between Jesus and Pilate shares a lot of insight into this idea. So let's look at the text, beginning in verse 33. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, Are you the king of the Jews? Jesus answered, Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say this to you about me? Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done? Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I would not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from this world. Then Pilate said to him, So you are a king? Jesus answered, You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to me. Pilate said to him, What is truth? Now, imagine standing over in a corner and observing this conversation. You watch and listen closely as these men go back and forth until Pilate asks this thought-provoking question, What is truth? He asked this question in kind of a mocking, scornful kind of way, but his expression turns serious when Jesus does not immediately answer. So what can we learn about the truth from this conversation? Well, first we need to understand that Jesus Christ is the truth. Jesus Christ is the truth. Pilate wasn't just discussing the truth. Pilate was looking at the truth. The truth was standing right there in front of him, clothed in human flesh. In other words, truth is a person, and that person is Jesus Christ. John 1:14 says, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Moral and spiritual truth isn't so much a concept as it is a person. It isn't so much a definition as it is someone we believe in. In other words, moral and spiritual truth can be found in a person, and that person is Jesus Christ. Let me explain it this way. Our Webster's Dictionary defines truth as fidelity to an original or to a standard. I've been told that somewhere in the suburbs of Paris is the International Bureau of Weights and Measurements. This is an organization that standardizes units of measurement all over the world. Other words, if I wanted to obtain a precise measurement, the most precise measurement possible, then I would refer to the standards that they maintain at the International Bureau of Weights and Measures there in Paris. So, if I have a dispute about a measurement, there is a place that I can go to find out the absolute truth about that measurement. That is the standard I can appeal to. Well, in the same way, in our moral and spiritual lives, we have a standard that we can appeal to, and that absolute standard is Jesus Christ. This is what Jesus means when he says, "For it was this purpose that I came into the world to bear witness to the truth." He is the standard by which all things should be measured. He is the original, meaning that all things originate with him. As he told his disciples in John 8:32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And we realize and understand he's talking about himself, because down in verse 36 then he adds, "So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed." So Jesus says in verse 32 that the truth sets you free. He says in verse 36 that the Son sets you free. So which is it? The truth or the Son? Well, it's both, because Jesus, the Son, is the truth. He confirms this, of course, in John 14:6 when he says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me." Jesus Christ is the embodiment of the truth, and he wants to have a personal relationship with you. This is so important to understand, because it helps us to realize that truth is not just a concept or something that you find within yourself. Truth is discovered through a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. He is the standard by which all things are measured. Realizing this helps us to understand that I don't get to create my own truth. Truth comes from Jesus. This is why John said back in chapter 1, "For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Christ." Additionally, truth can't be relative and change from person to person, community to community, nation to nation, because the Bible says Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And then finally, all truth can't be equal, because Jesus did not claim to be a truth. He claimed to be the truth. His claim was exclusive. He claimed to be the one and only truth, the only way that we can get to God. Now, these are not the words of someone who is one among many, or someone who is equal to all others. These are the words of the one who has no equal. Jesus Christ, listen friends, is the truth. In addition, he always tells the truth. Look at verse 37. You say that I'm a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. So this is the second observation we'll make today from this conversation, is that Jesus came to tell the truth. Now, this is important to understand, because we live in a world where people don't want to hear the truth. Everybody wants to do their own thing. I mean, you hear it in statements like, "Well, I'm not really into religion," or even worse, "Don't try to force your religion," or "Don't try to force your morals on me." People want to live their lives like there are no consequences to the choices that they make. But if Jesus Christ is the truth, and if Jesus Christ always tells the truth, then we need to listen to him. The problem with this idea that truth is based upon our feelings or our experiences or our emotions is that if this is true, then I get to determine what is true based upon how I feel. In contrast, Jesus Christ tells the truth and delivers it. He tells what is true for all people at all times in all places. Absolute truth is objective, universal, and constant, and it's found only again in Jesus Christ. Well, now, the third observation is this. Jesus says that everyone on the side of truth listens to him. Look at verse 37 one final time. Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I'm a king. For this purpose I was born. For this purpose I came into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to me." So let me ask you a question this morning. Who are you listening to? If Jesus is the truth, if Jesus always tells the truth, then I need to listen to the truth and be on the side of truth. Who we listen to, where we get our information makes all the difference in the world. Jesus said, everyone on the side of truth listens to me. So again, who are you listening to? Are you listening to Jesus? Are you seeking to do his will? Are you allowing him and his word to influence you in your daily decisions and actions? You see, this is a very practical issue that applies to every area of our lives. It really does matter where you get your truth. So the question comes back around to, who are you going to trust? Jesus says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. He always tells the truth. Those on the side of truth listen to him. Now finally, the chapter ends with an illustration of what it looks like not to listen to the truth. Look at what it says about halfway through verse 38. After this, he went back inside to the Jews and told them, I find no guilt in him, but you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. So do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews? They cried out again, not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber. They could have had Jesus, but they chose Barabbas. Ironically, the name Barabbas means son of the Father. They rejected the true Son of the Father for a murderer and murdered the true Son of God, illustrating the terrible consequences of determining your own truth. If we learn anything from this passage today, it is this. Jesus Christ is the truth. Jesus Christ tells the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to him. Well, I pray that God will help us to do this. Thank you for watching today. God bless you.